Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a review on the brand new L'Oreal Paris True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation. And I purchased this the other day at Christmas Tree Shop for $13.59 plus tax. And Ulta is also carrying this for $16.99. So that just gives you an idea on the price range that you'll see this at. So as low as $13.59 and as much as $16.99, or actually more depending on where you buy it, because prices vary wildly from store to store. So what is this? This is a cushion foundation, and that was first developed in Korea, and these cushion foundations have been already here in the United States. Some of the higher end brands like It Cosmetics, I believe, has one. There's one by Laneige that is here. And what that is, if I can get it open, is it's a foundation. Okay, first of all, when you open this, inside here is a mirror. And then the first thing that you'll see is the applicator. The applicator has this little silk ribbon thing on the back of it, so I guess that's how you're supposed to hold it. I just hold it by the entire thing. And then inside the container is a plastic piece. And what you do is you open that plastic like this, and inside there is a sponge. And the foundation is in the sponge. And what you do is you take the applicator and you press it onto the sponge and then press it onto your face with the applicator. So that's how it works. And then the applicator itself is a cross between a puff and a sponge. That's the best way I can describe it, because if you touch it, it feels kind of spongy, but it isn't your straight up standard type of makeup sponge that you would purchase. So yeah, I would say it's a cross between a puff and a sponge. And then on the back, they just have little instructions with pictures on how to use it. And it's just like I said, you just press it into the sponge inside the compact to pick up the product and just press it onto your face. Now the coverage on this, I would say, is medium. The only way you're going to get full coverage out of this is to put a light layer of powder on top. Now you could build it to full coverage, but I don't think you're going to like the end result if you do that, because some foundations tend to get a little cakey if you put too much on. There really aren't that many foundations that are buildable, in my opinion. So the way I have this on, and I am wearing it right now, is I put a normal amount of foundation on, and then I just put a light layer of pressed powder on top to give me full coverage, because I really like a full coverage foundation. That's just me. I have a lot to hide. I have discoloration or hyperpigmentation. I have acne scars. I have fine lines and wrinkles. I got a lot going on there that I need to cover up. So I like to make my foundation full coverage. Now let's talk about the color range. There are 12 shades altogether, and if you're familiar with the True Match Lumi line, the way they have this broken down, or even just the regular True Match foundations, they have it broken down by skin tone, which is nice because you can really customize it to your face. So they have cool, neutral, and warm. Now, unfortunately, with the True Match Lumi line, there is no C1 or C2. I have cool tone skin, so I automatically go for the C's, which in L'Oreal is cool. Don't get it confused with the MAC line, because that's a whole other thing. Their C's are warm. But anyways, so I automatically go for the lightest shade in the cool range. But in the True Match Lumi, there is no C1 and there is no C2. in this line. If you go to the regular True Match, there are some low numbers in C. It gets very confusing because the range is not exactly the same as far as the products they carry. I own the True Match Lumi liquid foundation, and I have that in N1-2 neutral, soft ivory / classic ivory. Okay, but in the cushion form, the lowest C that it comes in is C3. Okay, so that would be too dark for me. So I got N2. So the numbers and the names are different in every single one of these True Match foundation lines. Because I couldn't get the C3 because it would be too dark. So the lightest N shade was N2, and that would be classic ivory, I believe. Let's see, I wrote this down so that I would get it right. Yes, N2 is classic ivory. So if you're looking for a really light shade, that would be one way to go. Now, if you have warm tone skin and you have light skin, you can do even better than that, because the lightest shade in the whole range is W2 light ivory. But I can't pull off a warm tone foundation. There's no way. However, even though I have cool tone skin, I was able to make the lightest neutral shade work. As you can see, it looks like it, matches my neck and my chest fairly well. So, if you are curious about, if you are a woman of color and you're curious about, all right, well, what is the darkest shade in this range? The darkest shade is C8 Cocoa. If you don't have cool tone skin and you have warm tone skin, the darkest shade is called Creme Cafe, and that would be W8. Now, the darkest shade for neutral tone skin is N5.5 Perfect Beige. And let me tell you, it is not dark at all. So if you have really dark skin, you're going to have to choose between the warm tone or the cool tone. Yeah, 12 shades in the range altogether. Now, if you look at the display and you have a really hard time like deciding which one you think you might be, and you really feel like in order to give this a fair shot, you might have to buy 2 compacts. If that's the case, buy it at Ulta, because right now they have buy one, get one half off. So you could, pick out the 2 that you think might work and then figure it out from there. So yeah, my concern about this, and I can't find this information out, I have tried because I really wanted to be able to pass this along to you guys, is once you use this applicator, it's going to be dirty. And my question that I had is, how many times can I use this before it would be considered like contaminated? I can't find any information about that. However, people who use cushion compact foundations usually, not always, usually will wash this about once a week if they use it every day. And I would imagine that I can wash this just like I could maybe a beauty blender sponge. And what I do there is, once I get this wet or re-wet it after I've used it, and then I wipe it in my tone soap that I use to clean my brushes, and then just rinse it under warm running water and squeeze out the excess water. So I'm hoping that I can do that the same way. However, I'm going to do some research and find out specifically how do people clean these applicators and how often. I know in some of the high-end products, they put antimicrobials in their sponge, so technically you don't even have to clean the applicator. But I don't know, I would think that over time you could really build up germs because this is wet. So anything wet like that over time mixed with any bacteria that might be on your face. I mean, hopefully you're starting with a clean slate, but there's always going to be bacteria on your body no matter how well you clean it. But I would think over time, a wet sponge and an applicator that's being reused, I don't know. I'm not too comfortable about that. but we shall see. I'm going to do some more research on my own and try to find some information about that. Now, another concern I have with this is the cost-effective side of it, because if you look at this sponge, I mean, how much makeup could really be in that sponge? Not very much, I would think. The weight on this is 14.6 grams or 0.51 fluid ounces. So you're already starting with half an ounce. Now, a standard foundation normally has 1 fluid ounce in it. So you're already starting with less than half, or just a hair more than half, of what is in a traditional liquid foundation bottle. So cost effective wise, I think this would be really, really bad. Not to mention, there's a lot of packaging going on here. There's a very heavy lid, a very heavy bottom, and then you've got this flap of plastic here. You've got the sponge. So once you subtract all that packaging, how much makeup could really be in here? Not very much, I don't think. And then you've got the applicator. So at least with the liquid foundation, granted this is a very heavy bottle, but you can at least see how much of the fluid is in here. Whereas I don't think there would be that much makeup in this sponge. So I think the people that would be most drawn to this would be basically people that don't like to get their hands dirty, because when you use a liquid foundation, you usually have to pump some out on the back of your hand and then take a beauty blender or a brush and dab that in there. Whereas with this, you don't have to do that, because all you have to do is hold the applicator, press it into the sponge, and press it on your face. So at no point do you have to come in contact with any of the actual product itself on your fingers or your skin or your hand or what have you. So it is nice from that standpoint. And I have to say that in terms of how it looks, I'm really impressed with how it looks as a finished product. Because when I use a foundation like I've been using lately, some of the foundations I've been using lately, I don't have to set it with a powder to get full coverage, but you get a different kind of finish or look. So a light layer of this and a light layer of powder together, it has a really nice natural looking finish to it. And another thing that I was wondering about, and there's really no way that I could possibly know the answer to this question, but I'm sure L'Oreal does. True Match Lumi Cushion. Is this basically this in the sponge? I mean, is it the same foundation or is it a different foundation? I would assume that since the name is exactly the same on this as it is on here, minus the word cushion, that this is this product in a sponge, inside of a sponge. So another question that I have a lot of questions and you're probably looking for answers, but there's no way I could possibly know any of this. But another thing I was wondering about is when the product inside here dries up, people might be tempted to pump some of this into the sponge to fill it back up again so that they can continue to use this setup. And from a sanitary point of view, that's probably not a good idea, because this sponge inside here is probably only going to have a certain age range of where it would be safe to use. And so I don't think that would be a good idea. However, when it's all said and done, I really like the product. I like applying it that way. I don't think you would get the exact same results if you were to use a beauty blender and this foundation, the Lumi foundation. I think that using that particular applicator would affect the finished look. What would be nice is if you could just purchase these applicators on their own. Now, I don't know if there is such a thing, but if you could buy like a bag of these and then maybe use it a few times and chuck it, then you don't have to even worry about the whole sanitary issue aspect of it. But I don't know how expensive that would be. I have seen some similar products at stores in, you know, multiple items like this in a bag. But again, I don't think it's exactly the same thing, because this is not, it's not a sponge and it's not a puff. It's somewhere in between. So yeah, if somebody sells something like this in a bag with a bunch of them together, that would be really, really great. Then you could not have, then you wouldn't have to worry about, you know, do I clean it? How often do I clean it? Or any of that type of thing. But yeah, when it's all said and done, I really do like this product, and I think if you're someone who is curious about makeup, this would be a great way to try out the cushion foundations, because the ones from Korea are pretty pricey and the ones that are sold at department stores are pretty pricey. So I only paid $13.59 plus tax for this. So for me, it was just a way to experience the whole cushion foundation phenomena that has been going on for the last few years. And so yeah, I would say thumbs up. And if you have questions, I probably won't be able to answer them. I've told you everything that I know about this, but if you have been curious about the cushion foundations, this might be a good way to go. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.